Gobach, and I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
And this is our Muck Ready story.
So my freshman year, I started with engineering and a manufacturing class. Then I switched more sophomore year to welding and construction, and I saw more of like a passion towards our construction class.
Ever since I've been a kid, I always had to be building something, doing something with my hands. I always helped my dad out in the garage, and I knew I wanted to do something in the trades with like hands-on activities. So then I took Intro to Woods, and I really enjoyed having to build things.
From being in the classroom, we've had a lot more opportunities with all different tools and machines, and we would learn how to use each one and the proper safety for all of them. When transferring to the job site, there was a few minor differences, but there was definitely a lot more tricks I learned, and I felt way more prepared. Working at Canfield Construction has been great. Our foreman is a previous graduate at Mukwonago, and he has gone through the same program as us, and it helps us on the job site and supports us through any of our mistakes we make so we can learn different lessons.
Start each day with classes at Mukwonago High School, and then leave school around 10:30 every day to get 5 hours in of work on a job site to earn credit towards my youth apprenticeship at school. The great thing about working with Canfield Construction, I'll be able to complete my youth apprenticeship with the high school and jump right into a full-time apprenticeship with Canfield Construction.
Through all the different courses I've taken at Mukwonago High School, it has led me to pursue construction management at UW-Platteville, and I'll be starting in the fall. My name's Kira Goldbach.
My name's Kylie Neal.
And we're
Muck Ready.
My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and this is my Muck Ready story. So coming into high school, I knew that I liked computers and I liked programming, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So as soon as I could, I joined the IT Academy. The IT Academy has allowed me to pursue so many of my passions, learning computer programming, cybersecurity, networking. I've been able to reach so many new milestones and achieve so much more than I thought was possible in high school through the IT Academy. Getting involved in the FIRST Robotics program has given me so many opportunities. Starting off my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the programming sub-team, where I spent 2 years getting real experience with Java programming and working with actual software engineers in developing my skills more than any class that I've taken at Mukwonago High School, just supplementing that course information with my extracurricular in robotics. My junior and senior year, I was the program manager on the team, allowing me to kind of rise to this leadership role as the captain of the team. I've been able to use real project management tools like Trello and Gantt charts. I've been able to work with actual engineers and business leaders in my community, and I've been offered multiple internships just from my work and passion from robotics. I've also been able to work with real-life engineers, both in software and mechanical fields. I've been able to work with actual accountants and financial planners in our business sub-teams. I've been able to create these relationships and network that'll set me so much farther ahead than any other students that I know when I actually go out into the workplace. My sophomore year, I was able to start a series of programming classes to teach elementary school students how to program in Scratch, which is a simplistic sort of programming language. Because of this series of classes and because of my passion and dedication to FIRST Robotics Team 930, I was able to win the Dean's List Finalist Award at the Wisconsin Regional last year in 2022. I became the 3rd student to ever win this award from Mukwonago High School. My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and I am Muck Ready.
My name is Peyton Ertl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and this is my Muck Ready story. I actually started as a business youth apprenticeship, but it wasn't something that I could see myself doing. As a sophomore, I enrolled in the Academy of Medical Professions, which has provided me with opportunities to do job shadows and volunteer opportunities, as well as take classes that have prepared me for my future. I actually got my certified nursing assistant certification last year. I've gone through multiple CPR certifications, as well as I am now vision and hearing trained. One of my biggest mentors have been Christy Peterson. She has had me in class all 4 years of high school, but also runs HOSA, as well as has guided me through my YA. My biggest mentor, someone that I could come to with any questions, and she has helped guide me through the entire process. I am the vice president of HOSA, which is our Health Occupation Students of America. I'm a member of the Academy of Medical Professions, and I am currently in a youth apprenticeship with Waukesha Memorial Hospital, which is Pro Health, about 30 to 40 hours a week. Through my experience at Pro Health, the people I have come into contact with have been extremely taken aback by what I have been doing, experiencing, and learning at Mukwonago High School. Mukwonago prepared me for what I would be doing, but youth apprenticeship really showed me why I was doing it. What I love most about the CTE program and my youth apprentice is how prepared I feel for my future. I have now learned how much I love patient interaction and look for a high-paced environment where now I'm able to gear completely towards nursing. I am now able to go into my future knowing exactly what I want to do. My name is Peyton Erdl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and I am muck ready.
My name is Kylie Neal. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
My name is Kira Goldbach, and I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
And this is our Muck Ready story.
So my freshman year, I started with engineering and a manufacturing class. Then I switched more sophomore year to welding and construction, and I saw more of like a passion towards our construction class.
Ever since I've been a kid, I always had to be building something, doing something with my hands. I always helped my dad out in the garage, and I knew I wanted to do something in the trades with like hands-on activities. So then I took Intro to Woods, and I really enjoyed having to build things.
From being in the classroom, we've had a lot more opportunities with all different tools and machines, and we would learn how to use each one and the proper safety for all of them. When transferring to the job site, there was a few minor differences, but there was definitely a lot more tricks I learned, and I felt way more prepared. Working at Canfield Construction has been great. Our foreman is a previous graduate at Mukwonago, and he has gone through the same program as us, and it helps us on the job site and supports us through any of our mistakes we make so we can learn different lessons.
Start each day with classes at Mukwonago High School, and then leave school around 10:30 every day to get 5 hours in of work on a job site to earn credit towards my youth apprenticeship at school. The great thing about working with Canfield Construction, I'll be able to complete my youth apprenticeship with the high school and jump right into a full-time apprenticeship with Canfield Construction.
Through all the different courses I've taken at Mukwonago High School, it has led me to pursue construction management at UW Platteville, and I'll be starting in the fall. My name's Kira Goldbach.
My name's Kylie Neal,
and we're
Muck Ready.
My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and this is my Muck Ready story. So coming into high school, I knew that I liked computers and I liked programming, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So as soon as I could, I joined the IT Academy. The IT Academy has allowed me to pursue so many of my passions, learning computer programming, cybersecurity, networking. I've been able to reach so many new milestones and achieve so much more than I thought was possible in high school through the IT Academy. Getting involved in the FIRST Robotics program has given me so many opportunities. Starting off my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the programming sub-team, where I spent 2 years getting real experience with Java programming and working with actual software engineers in developing my skills more than any class that I've taken at Mukwonago High School, just supplementing that course information with my extracurricular in robotics. My junior and senior year, I was the program manager on the team, allowing me to kind of rise to this leadership role as the captain of the team. I've been able to use real project management tools like Trello and Gantt charts. I've been able to work with actual engineers and business leaders in my community, and I've been offered multiple internships just from my work and passion from robotics. I've also been able to work with real-life engineers, both in software and mechanical fields. I've been able to work with actual accountants and financial planners in our business sub-teams. I've been able to create these relationships and network that'll set me so much farther ahead than any other students that I know when I actually go out into the workplace. My sophomore year, I was able to start a series of programming classes to teach elementary school students how to program in Scratch, which is a simplistic sort of programming language. Because of this series of classes and because of my passion and dedication to FIRST Robotics Team 930, I was able to win the Dean's List Finalist Award at the Wisconsin Regional last year in 2022. I became the third student to ever win this award from Mukwonago High School. My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and I am Muck Ready.
My name is Peyton Erdl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and this is my Muck Ready story. I actually started as a business youth apprenticeship, but it wasn't something that I could see myself doing. As a sophomore, I enrolled in the Academy of Medical Professions, which has provided me with opportunities to do job shadows and volunteer opportunities, as well as take classes that have prepared me for my future. I actually got my certified nursing assistant certification last year. I've gone through multiple CPR certifications, as well as I am now vision and hearing trained. One of my biggest mentors have been Christy Peterson. She has had me in class all 4 years of high school, but also runs HOSA, as well as has guided me through my YA. My biggest mentor, someone that I could come to with any questions, and she has helped guide me through the entire process. I am the vice president of HOSA, which is our Health Occupation Students of America. I'm a member of the Academy of Medical Professions, and I am currently in a youth apprenticeship with Waukesha Memorial Hospital, which is Pro Health, about 30 to 40 hours a week. Through my experience at Pro Health, the people I have come into contact with have been extremely taken aback by what I have been doing, experiencing, and learning at Mukwonago High School. Mukwonago prepared me for what I would be doing, but youth apprenticeship really showed me why I was doing it. What I love most about the CTE program and my youth apprentice is how prepared I feel for my future. I have now learned how much I love patient interaction and look for a high-paced environment where now I'm able to gear completely towards nursing. I am now able to go into my future knowing exactly what I want to do. My name is Peyton Ertl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and I am Muck Ready.
My name is Kylie Neal. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
My name is Kira Goldbach, and I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
And this is our Muck Ready story.
So my freshman year, I started with engineering and a manufacturing class. Then I switched more sophomore year to welding and construction, and I saw more of like a passion towards our construction class.
Ever since I've been a kid, I always had to be building something, doing something with my hands. I always helped my dad out in the garage, and I knew I wanted to do something in the trades with like hands-on activities. So then I took Intro to Woods, and I really enjoyed having to build things.
From being in the classroom, we've had a lot more opportunities with all different tools and machines, and we would learn how to use each one and the proper safety for all of them. When transferring to the job site, there was a few minor differences, but there was definitely a lot more tricks I learned, and I felt way more prepared. Working at Canfield Construction has been great. Our foreman is a previous graduate at Mukwonago, and he has gone through the same program as us, and it helps us on the job site and supports us through any of our mistakes we make so we can learn different lessons.
Start each day with classes at Mukwonago High School, and then leave school around 10:30 every day to get 5 hours in of work on a job site to earn credit towards my youth apprenticeship at school. The great thing about working with Canfield Construction, I'll be able to complete my youth apprenticeship with the high school and jump right into a full-time apprenticeship with Canfield Construction.
Through all the different courses I've taken at Mukwonago High School, it has led me to pursue construction management at UW-Platteville, and I'll be starting in the fall. My name's Kira Goldbach.
My name's Kylie Neal.
And we're
Muck Ready.
My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and this is my Muck Ready story. So coming into high school, I knew that I liked computers and I liked programming, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So as soon as I could, I joined the IT Academy. The IT Academy has allowed me to pursue so many of my passions, learning computer programming, cybersecurity, networking. I've been able to reach so many new milestones and achieve so much more than I thought was possible in high school through the IT Academy. Getting involved in the FIRST Robotics program has given me so many opportunities. Starting off my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the programming sub-team, where I spent 2 years getting real experience with Java programming and working with actual software engineers in developing my skills more than any class that I've taken at Mukwonago High School, just supplementing that course information with my extracurricular in robotics. My junior and senior year, I was the program manager on the team, allowing me to kind of rise to this leadership role as the captain of the team. I've been able to use real project management tools like Trello and Gantt charts. I've been able to work with actual engineers and business leaders in my community, and I've been offered multiple internships just from my work and passion from robotics. I've also been able to work with real-life engineers, both in software and mechanical fields. I've been able to work with actual accountants and financial planners in our business sub-teams. I've been able to create these relationships and network that'll set me so much farther ahead than any other students that I know when I actually go out into the workplace. My sophomore year, I was able to start a series of programming classes to teach elementary school students how to program in Scratch, which is a simplistic sort of programming language. Because of this series of classes and because of my passion and dedication to FIRST Robotics Team 930, I was able to win the Dean's List Finalist Award at the Wisconsin Regional last year in 2022. I became the third student to ever win this award from Mukwonago High School. My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and I am muck ready.
My name is Peyton Ertl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and this is my muck ready story. I actually started as a business youth apprenticeship, but it wasn't something that I could see myself doing. As a sophomore, I enrolled in the Academy of Medical Professions, which has provided me with opportunities to do job shadows and volunteer opportunities, as well as take classes that have prepared me for my future. I actually got my certified nursing assistant certification last year. I've gone through multiple CPR certifications, as well as I am now vision and hearing trained. One of my biggest mentors have been Christy Peterson. She has had me in class all 4 years of high school, but also runs HOSA, as well as has guided me through my YA. My biggest mentor, someone that I could come to with any questions, and she has helped guide me through the entire process. I am the vice president of HOSA, which is our Health Occupation Students of America. I'm a member of the Academy of Medical Professions, and I am currently in a youth apprenticeship with Waukesha Memorial Hospital, which is Pro Health, about 30 to 40 hours a week. Through my experience at Pro Health, the people I have come into contact with have been extremely taken aback by what I have been doing, experiencing, and learning at Mukwonago High School. Mukwonago prepared me for what I would be doing, but youth apprenticeship really showed me why I was doing it. What I love most about the CTE program and my youth apprentice is how prepared I feel for my future. I have now learned how much I love patient interaction and look for a high-paced environment where now I'm able to gear completely towards nursing. I am now able to go into my future knowing exactly what I want to do. My name is Peyton Ertl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and I am muck ready.
My name is Kylie Neal. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
My name is Kira Goldbach, and I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
And this is our muck ready story.
So my freshman year, I started with engineering and a manufacturing class. Then I switched more sophomore year to welding and construction, and I saw more of like a passion towards our construction class.
Ever since I've been a kid, I always had to be building something, doing something with my hands. I always helped my dad out in the garage, and I knew I wanted to do something in the trades with like hands-on activities. So then I took Intro to Woods, and I really enjoyed having to build things.
From being in the classroom, we've had a lot more opportunities with all different tools and machines, and we would learn how to use each one and the proper safety for all of them. When transferring to the job site, there was a few minor differences, but there was definitely a lot more tricks I learned, and I felt way more prepared. Working at Canfield Construction has been great. Our foreman is a previous graduate at Mukwonago, and he has gone through the same program as us, and it helps us on the job site and supports us through any of our mistakes we make so we can learn different lessons.
Start each day with classes at Mukwonago High School, and then leave school around 10:30 every day to get 5 hours in of work on a job site to earn credit towards my youth apprenticeship at school. The great thing about working with Canfield Construction, I'll be able to complete my youth apprenticeship with the high school and jump right into a full-time apprenticeship with Canfield Construction.
Through all the different courses I've taken at Mukwonago High School, it has led me to pursue construction management at UW Platteville, and I'll be starting in the fall. My name's Kira Goldbach.
My name's Kylie Neal,
and we're
muck ready.
My My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and this is my Muck Ready story. So coming into high school, I knew that I liked computers and I liked programming, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So as soon as I could, I joined the IT Academy. The IT Academy has allowed me to pursue so many of my passions, learning computer programming, cybersecurity, networking. I've been able to reach so many new milestones and achieve so much more than I thought was possible in high school through the IT Academy. Getting involved in the FIRST Robotics program has given me so many opportunities. Starting off my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the programming sub-team, where I spent 2 years getting real experience with Java programming and working with actual software engineers in developing my skills more than any class that I've taken at Mukwonago High School, just supplementing that course information with my extracurricular in robotics. My junior and senior year, I was the program manager on the team, allowing me to kind of rise to this leadership role as the captain of the team. I've been able to use real project management tools like Trello and Gantt charts. I've been able to work with actual engineers and business leaders in my community, and I've been offered multiple internships just from my work and passion from robotics. I've also been able to work with real-life engineers, both in software and mechanical fields. I've been able to work with actual accountants and financial planners in our business sub-teams. I've been able to create these relationships and network that'll set me so much farther ahead than any other students that I know when I actually go out into the workplace. My sophomore year, I was able to start a series of programming classes to teach elementary school students how to program in Scratch, which is a simplistic sort of programming language. Because of this series of classes and because of my passion and dedication to FIRST Robotics Team 930, I was able to win the Dean's List Finalist Award at the Wisconsin Regional last year in 2022. I became the 3rd student to ever win this award from Mukwonago High School. My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and I am Muck Ready.
My name is Peyton Ertl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and this is my Muck Ready story. I actually started as a business youth apprenticeship, but it wasn't something that I could see myself doing. As a sophomore, I enrolled in the Academy of Medical Professions, which has provided me with opportunities to do job shadows and volunteer opportunities, as well as take classes that have prepared me for my future. I actually got my certified nursing assistant certification last year. I've gone through multiple CPR certifications, as well as I am now vision and hearing trained. One of my biggest mentors have been Christy Peterson. She has had me in class all 4 years of high school, but also runs HOSA, as well as has guided me through my YA. My biggest mentor, someone that I could come to with any questions, and she has helped guide me through the entire process. I am the vice president of HOSA, which is our Health Occupation Students of America. I'm a member of the Academy of Medical Professions, and I am currently in a youth apprenticeship with Waukesha Memorial Hospital, which is Pro Health, about 30 to 40 hours a week. Through my experience at Pro Health, the people I have come into contact with have been extremely taken aback by what I have been doing, experiencing, and learning at Mukwonago High School. Mukwonago prepared me for what I would be doing, but youth apprenticeship really showed me why I was doing it. What I love most about the CTE program and my youth apprentice is how prepared I feel for my future. I have now learned how much I love patient interaction and look for a high-paced environment where now I'm able to gear completely towards nursing. I am now able to go into my future knowing exactly what I want to do. My name is Peyton Ertl. I am a Mukwonago High School senior, and I am Muck Ready.
My name is Kylie Neal. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
My name is Kira Gobach, and I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School.
And this is our Muck Ready story.
So my freshman year, I started with engineering and a manufacturing class. Then I switched more sophomore year to welding and construction, and I saw more of like a passion towards our construction class.
Ever since I've been a kid, I always had to be building something, doing something with my hands. I always helped my dad out in the garage, and I knew I wanted to do something in the trades with like hands-on activities. So then I took Intro to Woods, and I really enjoyed having to build things.
From being in the classroom, we've had a lot more opportunities with all different tools and machines, and we would learn how to use each one and the proper safety for all of them. When transferring to the job site, there was a few minor differences, but there was definitely a lot more tricks I learned, and I felt way more prepared. Working at Canfield Construction has been great. Our foreman is a previous graduate at Mukwonago, and he has gone through the same program as us, and it helps us on the job site and supports us through any of our mistakes we make so we can learn different lessons.
Start each day with classes at Mukwonago High School, and then leave school around 10:30 every day to get 5 hours in of work on a job site to earn credit towards my youth apprenticeship at school. The great thing about working with Canfield Construction, I'll be able to complete my youth apprenticeship with the high school and jump right into a full-time apprenticeship with Canfield Construction.
Through all the different courses I've taken at Mukwonago High School, it has led me to pursue construction management at UW-Platteville, and I'll be starting in the fall. My name's Kira Goldbach.
My name's Kylie Neal.
And we're
Muck Ready.
My name is Abby Esmeyer. I'm a senior at Mukwonago High School, and this is my Muck Ready story. So coming into high school, I knew that I liked computers and I liked programming, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So as soon as I could, I joined the IT Academy. The IT Academy has allowed me to pursue so many of my passions, learning computer programming, cybersecurity, networking. I've been able to reach so many new milestones and achieve so much more than I thought was possible in high school through the IT Academy. Getting involved in the FIRST Robotics program has given me so many opportunities. Starting off my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the programming sub-team, where I spent 2 years getting real experience with Java programming and working with actual software engineers in developing my skills more than any class that I've taken at Mukwonago High School, just supplementing that course information with my extracurricular in robotics. My junior and senior year, I was the program manager on the team, allowing me to kind of run.
Starting, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 23rd.
When started the meeting.
All in favor?
Well, I think we need a second for that.
That's I.
No, I thought I heard.
Second.
Carolyn's got the second. All right. I don't think Vito's on here, so it's just you two guys tonight, okay?
Okay.
All right. So you
Okay.
can think about now?
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, so yeah, Joel, if you're going, then I'll just bring the next agenda item up here and kind of conduct it. You can stop me whenever you want here. Next
Sure,
year.
thanks, Tom.
Yeah, you bet. We have Alan Goulds from Dowsman Transport and Larry Kirkley, also from Dowsman Transport. They came by tonight. I think we tried to start getting them on the agenda in October. And that agenda got too filled up, and so on. That happened over and over. And here we are in February, so thanks for coming. We finally found some time. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys here, and you just cue me up. We're going to share a couple videos with you to kind of show you some of the technology that we put onto our buses. We used some fund balance at the end of last year's budget, at the end of 21-22, to pay for what our cameras have. So we'll show you what those look like. And Alan, I'll turn it over to you guys here, okay?
Thank you, Tom. So, 2 days since the start of school, we have in my hand 80 passing reports of cars driving through the red lights and the stop sign on the bus. I'll have one more on my desk for tomorrow morning from today, so that'll make a total of 81 since the start of school. Unfortunately, we don't get follow-up from the police department as to whether a citation is issued, but we do cover the Waukesha Sheriff's Department, the village and town of Mukwonago, and Big Bend as well has now jumped on board with us on issuing citations, and hopefully following through with that. So I brought along a couple videos, or a few videos at the top. I'm going to pull those up. To show you what this looks like from our perspective. We'll see how good your positive is, Tom, when we see a license plate.
That's great.
So this is the outside view. You can see the stop sign with the light flashing, and the car should be coming by momentarily here, right there. And so this is what we see. The driver used to have to do this by just trying to look out the window, bam, try to catch that license plate. So having these cameras has been a huge, huge help to the bus drivers and trying to educate the kids, the parents, and as well as making sure the people who do violate the red lights, they get their violation. And right now, I believe it's $250 and 4 points. if I'm not wrong, I think Larry was at the School Bus Association, and they had talked about trying to work with the legislature to raise that fine, because $250 is just not enough for something that could injure or worse, for the child. If you go to the next one, Tom, is channel 8, the one right there. So this is the rear face of the same violation. And here you can see the plate is actually in better focus, because after that car went through, that other license plate on the back was kind of, with glare, or the plate is peeling. So having the camera that faces front and back has been fantastic for us, especially like I said with glare or things like that. We get obviously the car description. If it's a really good day, we can see if it's a male, female. But at least we have the car description in the plate. That fine would go directly to the car owner, not necessarily the driver. So it could be your kid driving the car, and you get the citation.
Do you have another one?
Yep, then the next one is Route 32 front. Let's go up a couple.
Yep, right here.
Nope.
Oh, right there. You got a couple there.
This is a car passing on a double yellow at a stop sign, or at a stop, or bus stop. So we were able to just catch them. And so the rear face camera didn't quite get it fast enough, because the car went around so fast. And if it's going fast enough, it'll be blurry, we can't get it. But having the other camera, the other angle, we were able to clearly catch that. And I know they were going to try and get them on double yellow as far as that goes, and violating the red lights at the stops, at the school bus stop.
Okay.
The next one, we'll go with Route 3, one more down.
Well, there. Route 3 rear.
Yep, try that one. See what you see here. That was another school bus company that went through our red lights. It was actually the first student. So it's not just motorists, we get commercial vehicles, and unfortunately it was another school bus company. The plate was a little blurry, but I did call first student directly and said, hey, here's your unit number, and here's the violation. You better talk with your driver. So it's an educational purpose for not just school bus, or for other motorists, school bus drivers too, or, other commercial vehicles, semi-trucks. We've only had, I think, 2 other commercial vehicles other than that one. And then we have some interior along with the system that was purchased were interior cameras. They've been a tremendous help with discipline. I've been to the middle school twice already to try to identify students who are causing some issues. If you want to go with the...
So there's 4 cameras inside of a bus. There's one in the front.
There's front
quarter
one,
of the
2
way
middle,
down.
and 1 rear.
Yeah.
So this is one of the front ones. This is just the students getting off at high school, or middle school students transferring to high school bus, or their bus. So it's weird, you have 4 big cameras sitting there, but sometimes they forget that they're there, and they still continue to do what they do. So
This is the front camera.
that's the front, and then the second camera back. It's still they do overlap some, so that's very helpful in that. And
Oh, you go to the rear one then?
there's one rear, one more rear one here, go down one. Perfect. And so there is one further back, which I didn't get onto the flash drive, but you can get the picture that this has really been helpful to us. It's been a little bit more of my time watching video, but it's been worth it in trying to make sure that if there is a disciplinary need, that the right students are that's handed to them, so that it's been helpful.
Is there anything else you want to show them?
Nope, we're good with the video. So just in letting you know that to be honest, money well spent. It's been fantastic. I have plans to talk with a friend of the legislature to again talk about raising those fines, and then hopefully, I don't know what the legal process would be getting that done, but hopefully helping transition some of that fine or some of that money to the schools to help reimburse for some of those things. If they're going to raise a fine, why can't we be part of that process? So
We have, how many buses in total are we working with you at your terminal? For regular education, we have about 30.
I have 32 route buses right now,
And we have cameras in.
18 buses. So it was a tremendous cost up front, but if things can go forward and we were able to maybe cost share with some of that revenue to come back, again, I don't know the legal parts of that would be up to me to decide that, but I thought that's a really good way to try and, recapture some of that. But in the meantime, the 18 buses have been amazing. There's been a few times where the middle school or an administrator would ask, hey, do you have camera on that one? I said, no, not that bus. The other one does, but if we have continued issues, we'll just move a bus over to that spot and work from there. So the current 18 buses are in our, I'd say, most violation heavy areas, so that was on purpose to do that.
Yep, so where there's most, our history would say passing occurs on certain routes, those are the buses with the cameras.
Correct.
So first and foremost, we're trying to capture illegal passing.
Correct.
So I think last year this cost to put this on 18 buses was $60,000.
Correct.
In the name of student safety is why we did that. And I think it's worked out good. That I don't know how to feel about 80 illegal passings. It's probably, there's thousands and thousands of illegal passings every day in the country.
Right.
How many of those pertain to us? I guess I don't know the exact, but now we're starting to really find out what it is.
It's been fantastic because in the past, what would happen is if you ever received a citation and you want to dispute it, you could take it to court. But then it was his word versus hers, or whichever. And most of the time it went our way. But with video like this, there's no disputing. That was your car, whether you were driving it or not. You own it. You paid the ticket, or then you can go back and recapture that from your kid or whoever was driving the car. But unfortunately, you lose the points. The point is, there's no disputing.
All right.
Anybody have any questions?
What is the cost per bus?
I don't know the exact breakdown per bus, but for the 18 cameras, it was 60,000.
So I can tell you with the, so excuse me, I'm Larry Kirkley, and thank you very much for inviting us out and let's come out here and address some transportation things real quick. So I oversee Dousman Transport, and it's 10 terminals across our 5 counties here in southeast Wisconsin. So to answer your question, sir, so just the stop arm camera with a DVR, if we're not talking about the interior cameras, is about $2,400. The big cost is going to be the DVR, which is over $1,000, and then to outfit the school buses with the stop arm camera and the 4 interior cameras, it's about $3,400 per bus. So, and can I jump in real quick? Alan had talked about attending the SBA, the Wisconsin School Bus Association. We did the first legislative day back on February 1st up in Madison, up at the Capitol, where there was probably about 20 of us, different providers, different positions in various county companies, went up there and with a concerted effort to talk to the legislators here in Wisconsin. We brought up probably about 10 different topics that we really wanted our legislators to address. And as it pertains to the school districts, there's 2 biggies that we brought up. Both Alan alluded to. Number one was the fines. So the legislation on the fines hasn't been addressed since 1970. So that's what we talked about is upping those fines, number one, for not only the first-time offenders, but increasing the severity for recidivators, so the recidivation, so the repeat offenders, offense 1, offense, the repeat offenders. Equally important, I was really excited about this, so I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but realizing what the cost of these cameras systems are and the chunk of change that is for the district, and as I kind of assume this new role and understanding a little bit more of the budgets that the schools and the kind of the confined or the limited funds that the schools have and where that funding should go, ultimately, just a new appreciation of the spending with the district. So not only Mukwonago invested a significant amount of money in cameras, but Kettle Moraine did as well. So what I had recommended to the president of the WSBA was, I want to see something where we can use this citation money and either bring this back to the school districts, bring it back to the transportation providers so we can outfit the buses with more cameras, or create a fund in Wisconsin that would fund these cameras across the state. So, and there's precedent that is across the United States. There's in all three areas that I just talked about. Some will be kicked back 100% to the school district. Some is partial. Some there's a fund that will outfit the rest of the state with this. So I met with 3 legislators personally. I should say their staff. The legislators were out, but. It was Senator Kapenga, Representative Allen, and Representative Duca. And then again, there was about 19 other school bus representatives that went and they hit up the other representative, the assemblymen and the senators as well. And again, it was one voice, if you will, all the same stuff, asking for the same stuff. And we got very, very positive feedback on the stuff that we brought up there. So, you know, Sherry, she's the president of the WSBA. I know she's circling back with the legislators and whatnot on these things and hoping that they're gonna bring some bills forward to make this stuff law. So I hope to be able to provide the committee and ultimately the school board, the district, some updates here in the near future. So, so I got that piece. And then you have
I'm done with what I need, so.
Okay.
Is there any further questions we heard in the camera?
You said the points and whatever goes, I'm just curious. So if it was their kid, okay, or whatever, is there a way for them to appeal that so the kid gets points?
I don't know for sure. That's, in my instances where we've had to go to court, there's been so few, it has been the person driving was the one that received the citation.
I think they'd have to go to court for that, and then they'd throw their kid under the bus.
Yes, basically.
She speaks from experience. I saw it on a show, a court show. So I think that's true. This woman got a speeding ticket, but it was her husband, but it was a traffic camera. And she was mad because it was her husband, and she's like, he should have the fine, not me. So the judge moved it to her husband. So I think it'd be the same thing, because it's whatever the violation is, because it's a camera capture, not a police officer stop.
Anything else? Any other questions?
How many violations did you have captured last year?
Not as many, because if you don't quite get it, or even if it's questionable, I will not submit it. There's been a couple instances, even with the cameras where, you know, in this climate and the weather, they get covered in dust or, you know, slush or just whatever gunk or snow, you can't see. So I can't submit, even if it's a partial, it either has to be full guaranteed or it's, you know, because, you know, you're dealing with a citation and potential court, either it's 100% or not.
I guess what I'm getting at is that an exceptional amount, or does that seem pretty average?
It's more. It's more. I can't give you the
So-
exact number how many more, but it's more.
So it's probably the same number occurring, we're just catching them.
Correct.
more.
Correct.
And the bus driver has to see it, right, to report that time frame?
No. So
No?
as soon as you activate the lights, the ambers come on first. That's when it starts recording. That camera starts boom. Okay, I have to turn on to start to recording, and then it records so much prior and then so much after.
Right.
So you have, I think the number is 30 seconds before, 30 seconds after. So you have a window that I can take these videos and cut them down to just the portion I need. And so the driver also has a button that they can push in the bus that kind of earmarks it. So it takes,
Right,
shortens the time that I have to look for it. So basically the driver has on the form is the date, the time it happened approximately, and then the plate number, and the address or where the bus stop is, where it happened, and so on and so forth on the list. But the basic time, so what the drivers do right now is they'll come out, either they'll tell me verbally a plate number over the radio, or they'll just say, car passed the bus, or car went through my red lights, I'll quick look at the clock, 3:01. Just write it down so that I can look at the camera when they come in, it just shortens the time that I have to do it, or work with the film.
Okay. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
I think, Larry, do you have a few
Yeah,
more
if
things?
I can get 3 more minutes, I just want to give a brief kind of state of transportation as it pertains to the school district,
Sure,
if you don't
please.
mind. So as Alan had talked about, we've got 32 route buses that run out of the Mukwonago terminal. We've got 6 special needs that we run out of North Prairie. It's really 5 out of North Prairie, and then we do a route share out of Waterford for a student that attends Richardson School as well. And then we've got the 5 Prairie View that we have as well, that we also run out of the North Prairie terminal. So if we focus just on the Mukwonago piece right here, you know, everybody probably has heard on the radio, not the radio, but in the news, just the national school bus driver shortage right now. And I'd say that these numbers I'm gonna give you, it makes me proud of what Alan and Katrina are doing over in Mukwonago and what the rest of the managers are doing across Dousman Transport, because as I'll highlight in a second here, this just is not the case across this industry anymore. But so Alan's got 32 routes that he oversees out of Mukwonago there. Right now he's got 34 drivers. Those are full AM, PM drivers. He's got 1 person that's on leave of absence. In other words, they got a medical issue, but they will be coming back to us. He's got 2 casual drivers, and how we define casual drivers is anybody who does not drive AM and PM Monday through Friday. So a casual driver could be we've got one in Mukwonago, or excuse me, in North Prairie, that runs 3 days a week, AM and PM, but because he doesn't do the 5-day week, so he's almost there, a huge asset, but because he doesn't do the 5-day week, we call him a casual. So Alan's got 2 of those folks to cover down when he needs to. In addition to that, both him and Katrina, and then our 2 mechanics, Kira and Rod, they've got CDLs too. So it's kind of that golden parachute if we needed it. If for whatever reasons we've got mass sickness going through the terminal, we've got folks that can step up to the plate and ensure that your students, your children are getting to school on time every single day of the week. And I highlight this stuff because, as I said before, that's not the standard. And again, if I may just take a quick opportunity to brag here on Dallasman Transport, if you don't mind. Right now, throughout the school year, I've had 2 district administrators, and these are neighboring districts to Mukwonago, here in Waukesha County, contact me and say, hey Larry, our transportation provider is not able to cover our home to school routes, not even the extra, our home to school. So we had one say, can you take 5 for us? Can you take 3 for us? And we weren't going to put ourselves in jeopardy because we are not as, I guess, staffed as we want to be. We got a good number, but we want to be greater than that. But we weren't going to leave the existing customers, obviously, in limbo status there by covering a non-existing customer. These are your neighbors. These are your neighboring school districts. These are our school bus competitors not able to cover down on the routes. That has not happened in Dallasman Transport. And it certainly has not happened in Mukwonago. We got a really good luxury, I think. I would call it a strategic advantage, if you will, here at Dallasman Transport. We've got these 10 terminals, and they're all, there's not one terminal that's an hour from any other terminal. It's all close proximity. So in the event somebody comes short because you got sickness rolling through, we can pluck from Dallasman, we can pluck from Waterford, we can pluck from Union Grove, and bring them in to make sure that Mukwonago students are getting to school on time every single day of the week. But again, because what Alan and his team has done for recruiting this year and prior years, we've not been put in that position here in Mukwonago. Moreover, to a lesser extent, I wouldn't say a lesser extent, but so before schools will, and school bus companies will cancel routes, they will double up on routes. So in other words, they'll take 2 routes and they'll cram all the students onto one bus. What that does is, in theory, you should, obviously people aren't going to be running over capacity, but it's going to fill those buses up, number 1, and number 2, it's going to add ride time for your students. We've not had to do that at all. Prairie View, for example, you've got the early release Wednesday. That costs us 5 extra drivers every single Wednesday. 5 extra buses, 5 extra drivers. But between here, at North Prairie, Dallasman, and now we've taken on Palmyra Eagle kind of into that fold of the North Prairie Dallasman, we've been able to cover that without doubling up routes. We did have a hiccup at the beginning of the school year. We're not perfect. I'm not going to stand here and say that we are perfect, but we did have a driver oversleep, I think it was, and she's no longer with us. We counted on her being in. She wasn't in. It's been corrected. She's no longer with us. But to my knowledge, that has been the only hiccup that I'm tracking. So in addition to the districts that I talked about asking us to take on home to school routes, right now out of our terminals, we're covering down for no less than 4 districts on their extracurricular sports right now. And it is very frequent. And we're talking Waukesha County all the way down to one of our southern terminals as well. But there's 3 of them here in Waukesha County that we're covering down on because their current providers can't cover their sports for their students right now. So what are we doing? When it does not conflict with Mukwonago, when it doesn't conflict with Kettle Moraine, just kind of speaking out of these 2 terminals anyway, we're covering those. And we're covering a lot of them. So again, I only say that because I really want the committee to know. I want the parents listening in here. I want the district to know that your students are in good hands. Your students have a ride to school, to and from school every single day. Dallasman is doing quite well with staffing right now. If I can switch gears real briefly to safety. On an average year, we travel about 450,000 miles out of the Mukwonago terminal. Dallasman took over, purchased Hanks about 6 years ago, I think it was. Now I talked to Alan about this. I've only been on board for about 2 years now. But To Alan's recollection, to my knowledge, 0 accidents with injuries in those 6 years that Dousman has had Hanks. So again, something that is, school buses, number one, are you're gonna be your most safe, or your safest vehicles on the road. But, and I wouldn't say that accidents are common in school buses, or, excuse me, injuries are common in school buses, but I just want folks to know, in addition to getting our students to and from school every single day, we've got the reputation, we've got the track record to show that your students are safe every single day that they're riding our school buses. Talked about WSBA, talked about our cameras, so pending any questions, I am all done. Well, thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it, guys. Okay, I know we have your rate proposal that you requested, Larry, that's coming up later in the agenda, but I think in the interest of time, because Colleen, you have to move on to a Boy Scout meeting tonight, we don't want to keep you from, we got to move on in the agenda here to the Eagleville. If you guys want to stay, you can stay. If these don't interest you, we don't take offense here. Do we? We get it. But we're gonna talk about the Eagleville Modular Classroom is the next agenda item. So we're bringing this back up here. Last May, in May of 2022, you gave us permission to pursue the purchase of a modular classroom. The month prior, in April 2022, the initial direction you provided us was to look into the details of a lease. We found a 3-year lease at that time for $170,000, or an outright purchase, an all-in cost with delivery, installation, running electrical, all those other things. You gave us a budget of $300,000. We've had some issues with providers having enough stock or any stock whatsoever to provide us with. We initially thought we had a lead, or we had a vendor who could sell us a refurbished classroom, and for the price that would meet within our $300,000 budget. They backed out and said they no longer had access to it. Andy and his staff issued an RFP shortly thereafter to see who can supply us with one, and only one vendor bid at a cost of $275,000. So with that being said, the cost of it, we thought that the actual modular building would be $200,000, and the extras would, for electrical and et cetera, furniture, would take it up to no more than $300,000. The building itself will now be $275,000. And then as we look at the other running electricity and the other things we need to get that building working, we're quoting a cost to you right now of nothing more than $400,000. That exceeds the budget you gave us. So can't move forward with that, obviously, without permission from the finance committee and the board ultimately taking action on that. Couple other things have taken place too. So as we work, Andy has worked with the county to see where we can locate this. I'll just give you a quick second here. We have to abide by a couple of things in our property with 50-foot setbacks from the building and 50-foot setbacks from the county road. So initially here, if you look at the building, where we're at, the county road is here, where I'm waving the mouse there. We were looking to put it right here, but there's not a 50-foot setback from the building. We have to make sure there's a 50-foot setback.
And at that time, they didn't tell us about the 50-foot from the building, they just talked about the roadway.
This green line here represents an environmental corridor as identified by the Southeastern Wisconsin Region Planning Commission. 100 with the creek right there, there's a 100-year floodplain that exists. So we have to, in order to get this particular building of this size to fit, we have to move it back. And we can go out there and take a look. If that's kind of why we're having the meeting here tonight, if you want to go outside and take a look. That would go into the kickball space and kind of, I don't know, is it one of the more popular frequent recess spaces?
The field is a frequent recess space. I don't know that they necessarily play kickball on the field, but they use the field. So we would have to adjust where the backstop was as part of the.
Is this where's your 46 feet from the road? That's that red line then?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're good.
So we need to
This
stay
one.
on your side of the green line.
Yeah, so we're gonna just turn it, I mean, if this is all to
So
scale.
we looked at turning it there. We have a line of sight issue to the rest of the playground. That was a concern. But we are looking at turning it and bringing it down to where the kickball diamond is, which would be the bottom of the page. I have some cones set up outside to just kind of illustrate what that would look like. It'd be next to the walking path. And then we would have to relocate the backstop more towards the road side.
I'll let Carolyn run this meeting, I guess. You guys have questions and I can't.
So how does this affect, what are you going to have in it and students going to and from it?
So the primaries, there'd be one classroom in it, which would be specials primarily, so art, music, not gym, why am I trying to make, library would be primarily out of there, and then there would be 3 office type spaces, so it could be interventions, it could be speech, it could be the school site could have a house out there, a conference room, a space to meet with parents so that we're not using other people's spaces during the day. The largest piece is A, spaces for those small groups to work, and B, to not have specials in here, which is not a great learning environment for art, music, and library. They'd actually have a classroom that they shared. So those would be the primary spaces, is places for small groups to work, so that groups aren't working like right now, like literally in the stairwells, in the health room, in the band and orchestra is literally in the vestibule, so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the whole building hears them. So it'd be to move those pieces out.
So
They would walk on, it'd be cement to get in. So they would walk on the blacktop and then up the path, and then there'd be like a ramp or steps that would go to the blacktop.
So what is the biggest drawback having in here?
Having the biggest drawback is just that it's gonna take some recess space, but to be honest, I don't think there's one student or staff who would not be happy with having that space and having those learning environments. Like, what we're gonna give up to have it out there doesn't even compare to, I think, the inconveniences and what kids are giving up currently.
Sorry, I apologize for walking out. Is there any way to get away from the 50-foot setback from the building? I mean, if there's a roof attached, if you structurally combine the two, I say structurally, but is there a way to bring that a little bit closer?
I believe the only thing that was mentioned was like a thickness of a wall or a double concrete wall type of thing. I'd have to look more into that.
If it saves some space, if it just is a steel roof and you save some dirt, I don't know how much it matters over the grand scheme of things. Out of curiosity.
I mean, we can't get around that, right?
I don't believe we can, but I have to go back in the notes.
End of the day, it's still, you haven't gotten smaller.
So we'd have to request a variance, and we would need to answer Steve's question, we'd have to find out what the conditions are for a variance, I guess.
Did you, Carolyn, talk about your suggestion?
Turn it?
Yeah.
So I think Annie and I actually talked on exploring turning it, but moving it this way, so it's up along the path more. We looked at turning it parallel to the building, like right along the blacktop. It just makes me really nervous with that building blocking and still having a big chunk of field behind it, just the supervision. Just makes me nervous, but if we moved it this way, I think you would have enough, like you could have visible
So you say
behind it
this,
from
like
the
back
black.
more towards
Back
where the
towards the
kickball
woods,
is.
yeah, and then we would
All the
move
way
it
down.
Slide it
down.
down.
Yeah, so turning it and sliding it down.
Okay.
So Andy was gonna look into like if that would be the most ideal location if we can't have up by the road.
Okay, what was the cost for that addition for this school that we looked at? Do you have a ballpark?
The one that Ray had originally,
Yeah.
Tom, you're in the neighborhood of 4.
I
So-
have it, for the one that you gave to me, I
Yeah.
think it was 4.1 million.
So there is a expensive, they have given us, if we were trying to achieve the same outcomes that this building provides with 3 offices, 1 classroom, and a secured front entrance, they gave us some information today that could be done. for $1.1 million. So that doesn't, anything that's done in that sense, unless the committee and the school board is prepared to act on that now and use fund balance, that's, a longer range, outcome that it doesn't address immediate needs that Eagleville has. So it's for you guys to decide the need and the size of the investment on what works best. This is the most immediate solution, in terms of timeline.
Has this always been library, gym, music, or was there a time where the school was smaller and they actually had their own classrooms?
Yeah, they had one shared classroom before kindergarten was here, and Sean could probably speak to what year kindergarten, they added kindergarten here, or even you, Erica, probably more than.
About 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
So this is my third year. Yeah, and I think, so the Angie Barrio part is the first kindergarten. So probably about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, they added kindergarten. This building was only 1-6, and then there was, the classroom that's kindergarten was, I believe, used for some specials, at least for music at one point. Since I've been here, it's been used for a shared space. It was less noticeable my first year because of COVID. Specialists were here for 1 week out of a month, so they could keep all their stuff set up for art. Like, she could keep her art projects out for a whole week. And then I think last year I really saw like this is not really kids are getting less of an experience.
How many kindergartens are there?
17.
So if we moved kindergarten just financially for now to Rolling Hills, and went back to how we had it before?
So generally, schools typically want their youngest students here. So if you start your kindergarten, if your 5K students at another facility, then oftentimes they'd like to stay in that facility. So at one time, when Rolling Hills still opened up, kindergarten students did go to Rolling Hills. And they had a fantastic experience, just like they have a fantastic experience in all of our buildings, and their parents didn't want to take them out. So it's tough for Eagleville to recruit. A better option, in my mind, is to take a look at moving grade 6 out. And so students in Eagleville would be here 5K through 5th grade. And then 6th grade would go to another school such as Rolling Hills section. And of course, as you know, we're looking at that with the middle school anyway. But, and then we've done that before at one time. Eagleville was just grades 1 through 5. When I was principal here, 2000, 2004 was grades 1 through 5.
I was thinking about, I remember Stephanie had mentioned the transition of, and why we're thinking of doing 6th, 7th, 8th together, because of the children, when they get to 7th grade, by the time they're totally settled in middle school, then they have to go to 5th.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking of those kids now, those maybe 15 6th graders now that would be displaced, that would have to transition to Rolling Hills, then transition to middle school, then transition to high school, that impact that would have.
And I think it'd be very challenging for our families. We just have a lot of open enrolled families. We have families that come from all different homeschools. So what that would look like would be very challenging, I think, for our families and kids to, even if they're going back to their homeschools, to go from like having your friends to then now in 6th grade, like there's 2 of us going back to Clarendon. Like I think that would be
Or if they have
challenging.
4K and kindergarten in Rolling Hills, 4K and kindergarten at Clarendon, and then they came here. At least they would have maybe less transition.
So we're happy to take a look at those types of contingencies if the board wants us to explore that. So there, and again, depending upon a possible middle school reconfiguration, the solution would be temporary.
It would be done, yeah.
Right, and so if you did take a look at moving grade 6 students, for example, that would be for, hopefully, if all goes well with a referendum, a possible referendum, that would only be for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then they would be going to Parkview anyway.
Yeah.
But if that's something the board wants us to explore, then we would do it. We'll explore it.
I did have a question asked of me this today too, so I did contact the same vendor back for what would a lease cost. So a lease, just the lease itself for the structure and delivery and all that is $204,000, plus the infrastructure we would need to put in, whether it's a purchase or a lease, is another $102,000. So we're roughly $307,000 to lease it for 3 years, compared to if you did purchase it, it would be closer to 400.
307 for a 3-year lease or 400 for a purchase.
And that 400 includes, I'm sorry, I called that in.
It's okay, I'll wait for that.
All in.
If that's furniture.
Yeah, it's a budget for furniture, all the data, electric that would need to go out there, site improvements.
I'm trying to do this so that I am understood. So, Eagleville history is they are a charter school, and so then they barely were making it, so then we had given stipulations, if you didn't get 75 students, we were gonna close the school, so then we were trying to grow it, and at that point they came in, well, if we could have a kindergarten in here, then we could grow, people would know where they were gonna be, because every 2 years it was, are they gonna close the school, are they not gonna close the school? And all personal thoughts about it aside, it worked. And so that was where the direction of this is going. So even if we pull the 6th graders out of here, the parents, they've chosen this for a different kind of education and a different kind of environment. This is totally information for you and you because it's history, not because of anything to input as far as this goes. Now, going back, it's been a whole nother year without the building, without the trailer. Next week, Monday, we're meeting to do our long-term planning and trying to figure out what we want to do with our money for our referendum, and the big focus on that meeting next week is the elementary schools. So I don't know if it would maybe be prudent to take this information and take it to that meeting to see where that's going to go before we just even disseminate what we might want to do here with 6th grade, kindergarten, trailer, whatever it might be. I think maybe that might be something that would be a little more useful. I don't know.
What is the percentage of open enrollment here?
It's about 60%.
Open enrollment?
And what's the student body at right now? She said 75 was the goal.
110.
They weren't getting, we would set a thing that if you don't get 75 students at all, we were gonna close it. Because they weren't even close to 75, now they're up to their max. They weren't close to their max at that time.
And because it's a charter school, maybe Tom question, we make the same money per
Yep,
student?
yep. For that purpose, they just count as MASD resident students. Yep.
But because it's 60% open enroll, it's 8,000 per student?
Yeah, 8,000 and change, correct.
I'm gonna confirm that percentage, that open enrollment
Yeah,
percentage. I did not think it was 60%, but
It's close
I'll
to
give that to you
50-50.
guys.
It is close to 50-50 last time I checked. It's somewhere in that ballpark.
okay.
Just financially, does the school makes, I hate using the word makes money. The
But like
school
right,
isn't
pay for
making us lose money.
Is it in the red?
Is it in the red?
So I looked at this a couple of years ago, and at that time, it was a break-even school for the amount of money generated by the third Friday revenue limit, by the $742 or whatever the amount was at that time versus the expenses that were put in here for personnel and other things. Obviously, anytime you do a capital project at a building, that's a one-time big cost. That's true of any school. That changes it quite a bit. So it's kind of a, yeah, it's do you want to do this in a one-time manner? It's not like you're adding something here that's going to require $200,000 annually.
Right.
It's, do you want to do this in a one-time manner or not? But without that being a consideration, it was, and I can look into that, I'll bring that back on Monday night about what the current revenues are and the expenditures are, and let you know where that is.
Did you have for like the last few years?
Say that again?
Did you have for like the past few years?
Sure.
Thank you.
So back to when we approved $300,000, if this is now $400,000, we just last week were discussing the 4K and modifying some classes, and we didn't want to do that because of the money, so now we're doing this. So if it's for a couple of years before the referendum, so if we would get even if we can get the trailer, because we still don't even know, because they're unable to get how much, and we would decide with referendum that we wanted to change something in the school, okay? So then now we don't need the trailer anymore. So the thought process at the 300,000 was could resell it or use it for something else in the district. So are we still being able to resell it for 400,000 or putting the money in for the infrastructure that you have to do? So we're putting this in maybe for 3 years and then we don't need it anymore. So that's why I'm saying, I think.
It's very hard for me to imagine Eagleville not needing space forever.
But unless we do something with the referendum that makes us not needing it because we added to it. We
wouldn't need to do
this
anything
piece.
for the referendum because we did it cheaper with if it's a 1.1 million addition or a $400,000 trailer. They'd be like, sorry, you got the trailer, you don't get anything else you need.
Well,
It seems cheap.
But you want the front entrance, there's other things in your wish list for like on that referendum wish list for like the front end, secure front entrance.
Yeah,
There's
which would be fixed with the 1 million, it would be a secure entrance over there, that's just, I think, the number one thing is, I think everybody knows with school safety, we don't have a secure entrance right now. I think my biggest concern and my biggest fear as we go further down, like, we acknowledge there was an issue before I was here, we acknowledge there was an issue last year, I am concerned we're gonna start to lose some really high quality staff that are not only teaching kids at Eagleville, but are teaching kids at Prairie View, simply because they're dealing with space constraints that are outside of people's ability. And I think the same thing with some of our people services staff who are really, really talented. And again, some are shared across the district. But when you're working in a hallway, like, you can love it, but you can only love it so long. And I do think that, I do worry about that as we continue, down this path. I don't know what they will do. I think they're happy. They love Mukwonago, but that's my fear down the road.
I was a traveling teacher at one point, and it was not as much fun as when I had my own.
Right.
There's clearly a secondary market for these buildings when you buy them, but there's no demand. We buy one.
I would
we
assume
use
so,
it for
but
a
I
few
guess
years.
never
We
bought
decide in 3 years, okay, we're done with this. It sounds like we should be in a position to unload it and not necessarily take too much of a hit.
Yeah,
So
I don't know what hit you'll take on it, but yeah, you'll be able to sell it.
right, so from looking at it right now, near-term planning, that probably make an investment, let's get through the next few years and then do our long-term study, make a decision, and if we need to unload the building and recoup some of that, it doesn't sound like that's gonna be a challenge.
So Carolyn, I mean, this is a finance committee thing right now, so I don't know if you and Joel together have an opinion as to whether or not you move this on to the full board, or if I'm kind of with Cherry. I think it's an appropriate discussion for Monday for long-term range facility planning. I think it was comprehensive to everything else we're talking about, but ultimately, you and Joel here have to kind of be the ones to make that call.
Joel, what do you want to say?
Hey, Joel, are you there? Can you hear us?
Or maybe just you, Carolyn.
I'm on the committee, we don't have a forum, so that would be.
Yeah, from now on, we all get
He's there now. You can't hear him, but he's.
That's words.
I know that I see up right now.
Are you text Joel? Okay.
This is your 20.
Hey, Craig, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, we got it, thank you.
Yep.
Ask him if he heard all of
Oh, wait, we got a chat thing here. I can hear you, my mic maybe issue, 1 minute.
Carolyn's calling you.
So his mic is an issue here, he's trying to.
He usually has a really sweet setup in his basement.
Hello, Chris Schulberg. I'm away right
No.
Test.
Hey.
Gotcha, there you are.
Okay. All right. No, the audio is not coming through great, but I think from what I picked up is maybe some of the same concerns we had before, is that, at least where I'm at, is that with so close to the facility study and with the amount of money seems like it's growing, that this, at least where I'm probably coming from, is we probably need to address this in our facility study more so than a one-time purchase.
Maybe we make this a priority on Monday to talk about we're hearing all the schools, but because this was a hotter issue, to talk about this first, or we want to making sure that we get it done within the hour that we have, or hour and a half.
I didn't hear anything that Carolyn said.
I think she was trying to echo more or less what you said.
Yeah, I concur, I just think at that meeting on Monday, we try to talk about this as a priority to make sure we come back to them with an answer. But yes, I agree.
Okay, I'm with you.
All right.
Can you have those numbers by Monday?
Yeah. Okay, got it. All right, are we good there? All right, Calvin, you gotta do your thing. All right, thanks for letting us hang out in the building tonight.
All right, next up.
All right, so I'm gonna go through our enrollment projection. I'm gonna do this in a 5-minute skinny version. At the end of it here, I'm going to simply just share that we are going to do a few different, we're gonna do 3 budgets with losing enrollment, stable enrollment, and growing by 25. I just want to show you where we're coming from here, okay? All right, so let me just shrink down this camera here.
I just don't like being on that back seat.
All right. Joel and Craig, can you guys see the budget building document on the screen? All right. So again, what we're doing here is we're counting membership inside our boundaries for kids who live in those areas and attend public schools, whether they open and roll out. As long as they attend public schools, we count them as a member, we get funding. So the top part, membership, we get $10,000 for every member, and then we also get $742 in per pupil categorical aid. Those 2 things right there define 87% of all of our revenues, so counting members is important, all right? Open enrollment occurs outside of those membership counts, so if a student from Palmyra Eagle attends Eagleville here, we get $8,200 from that district. But for the kids who live in our boundaries and attend public schools, we get $10,016 on the revenue limit and an additional $742 per pupil categorical aids. We need to choose a number so we can build a budget with that. So if we just take a look back quickly at our third Friday membership, you can kind of see there's some ups and downs, but we take a 3-year average in this formula, so it kind of smooths out. If you take a look at what we've had in the last couple of years, you can see there was a time where this is clearly declining enrollment. 7 years of it. As we started rebounding 15-16, we stayed positive. COVID happened in 2021. 138 students did not attend public schools. I think there was a spike in homeschooling, so that contributes for a lot of it. We rebounded the following year, and then we had a decline of 44 students last year. So it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen next year. I don't have the crystal ball. Looking at Waukesha County, you can see that more than half of the schools declined. Waukesha was the biggest decliner at 83. Muskego lost 74. You can see us there at 44. Hamilton, lots of neighborhoods going up in that school district. They're growing quite a bit. All right, so I won't go through these details, but we take a look at our cohorts as they grow. So in this 361 kids, as they go from 6 to 7, grew to 381, then to 390, then to 409. And typically you're seeing that a class of kids in the 3rd grade, as they go to 4th, as they go to 5th, as they go to 6th, they grow, okay, almost across the board. And we can take a look at the percentages that they grow, and then we can take a look at 10 years worth of 3rd to 4th grade growth, or 10 years of 9th to 10th grade growth. Okay, we can get history. We can look at a 5-year average of growth from grade to grade. We can look at a 2-year average. We can look at a most recent year. And we can look at giving something a 60%, like give the most recent year 60% weight, and the prior 4 years a 40% weight. And when we do that, you can see here we have a number of different enrollment scenarios as we project out. Now, this is showing our actual enrollment. Our actual membership, I should say, but we're not looking to really project out long-term into the future. We're really just looking at 1 year out. Where will we be in the fall, 3rd Friday of this fall? So we have some that show even, staying fairly even, some that show growth, and some that show decline. So when you try to use history as your indicator, it suggests that a few different things can happen, all right? What I'm showing right here is that if we have 1.5% growth from one class and 0.5% growth, and we just kind of alternate that to say there's gonna be growth across the board, but it's gonna, be slight growth. We typically always have a big jump from 8th grade to 9th grade because we've got a lot of kids who attend private schools at St. John's or St. Joe's. They leave the private school setting, now they're being counted as members as they attend public schools. So I have a 7% growth factor there for 8th to 9th grade, and then everything else pretty much stays as is. And with that, we lose 26 kids. So it's even with growth virtually across the board, modest growth, I should say slight growth, there's still a chance we can decline. So just to show quickly how this would work, last year's membership counts, we had 4,471 kids. We got to subtract off the 384 senior members. 64 kids would be the growth of returning cohorts, so the number of second graders returning as third graders. If you add up all the returning grade levels, we add 64, plus the 294 new 5K students. That would give us 4,445 kids, which could be a shrinking in the number of members that we have. Okay, you can see Waukesha County birth rates are down. Okay, historically, if you look at the percentage of Waukesha County newborns who attend our schools, that's been a growing number, but we're getting a growing percentage of a dwindling number. Okay, so I will build 3 budgets of minus 25 membership, 0 growth, and plus 25. We'll take a look at what those look like. Okay, I'll also assume that for open enrollment purposes, we will continue to have what our situation is today of 609 open enroll in and 316 open enroll out. Okay, and that's how I'll bring that back next month. Quick observations then. Wisconsin statewide births. This is from the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. So you can see people are having less kiddos. The number of people living in Waukesha County is up. All right, but those people are having less kiddos. All right, the birth rate, obviously it mirrors that. The number of births is mirrored here. The number of births per 1,000 residents is down. Okay, so I'm going to stop here real quick and just spend a second here. This is showing us the grade to grade growth. Okay, so this number here is 1.031. From 16-17 to 17-18, kids that went from 4th grade to 5th grade between those 2 years grew at 3.1%. Any number in this graph that's red is showing you a number that's less than 1 and therefore shrunk. So this 0.997 represents a 0.3% decline in students as they went from the 9th to the 10th grade. From 14-15 into 15-16, all the way down to prior to this last year, there was growth across the board. You're not seeing any red numbers here where I'm waving my hand. All right. Last year we had 1, 2, 3, 4 cohorts, that shrunk. Okay, and we lost kids. And I don't think it's anything that we're doing here with this group of people, but I do think home prices are super high, and it's hard to buy a house. That's just me talking out loud on a hunch there. But when it's hard to access affordable housing for the average family in Mukwonago, you're going to have less people move in. Okay, so that cohort that goes from 310 to 320, whoever those extra 10 kids weren't able to get here. So there is a chance, even with growth, that you can shrink. So that's our recent history here. I'm going to keep scrolling here. There's our homeschool population. It's elevated during COVID, and it's kind of staying up there. All right, if we take a look at our 5K resident membership in blue and the number of kids that enroll here, this is showing here that we have more people who want to get into our school system. It's not just the blue bars there of the kids who live here. We have more open enrollment, kids who want to be a part of this district. So that's clearly a good thing. This is the percentage of 5K students who live here and stay here. So, we're in the upper 90s, and I think that's in a world of choice. This is reflecting people are choosing to stay home. So this is kudos to this group not screwing it up, giving them something that they want to stay here for. I think we heard McNulty's leaving, and that number might be, hey, might get a little bit bigger, we'll see here. Top 5 districts that kids open enroll in from: Palmyra Eagle, East Troy, Waukesha, Kettle Moraine, and Waterford. Top 5 open enroll outs: Kettle Moraine, Waukesha, Muskego, East Troy, and Merrill. Merrill's virtual school, so clearly the kids are not commuting there. Waukesha has a virtual option as well with eAchieve. And here is our open enroll in history right there. So you can see we're about plus 300 of kids who come to us versus those who leave us.
With that jump there, wasn't there a thing with Palmyra or something that happened?
That's what
Which year are you talking about, Carolyn?
Wasn't there a thing that happened and that's why we got a huge jump with open
Oh,
enrollment?
at 1920 here? Like this jump right here?
But they're gonna
From the
cross
517 to
those.
60?
It happened at 2 different occasions.
I was assuming what happened with that one.
So
20,
open enrollment wasn't even available, I want to say, until like the 2001, 2002 school year. And it was my wife's senior year. I don't know, that's all I know. Don't do the math, I'm not trying to tell you how old she is, but, so this wasn't even a thing at that point in time, so clearly it was
So,
the
so
first.
when open enrollment first started, there were caps on the number of students that a district could lose. And so, and I won't remember the cap, but I'll just say 5%. So, but after 5 or 6 years, those caps were removed, and so then you saw some districts who lost more than that 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% of their students, because it escalated for the first 5 or 6 years, that cap, and then they removed the cap, and then all of a sudden, some districts, and Palmyra Eagle would be a good example,
Yeah.
they would lose many more than 10% or 20%, and as a matter of fact, they have more people, I have to confirm this, but at one time they had more kids going out than they had staying in.
Oh, okay.
But I-
I think I heard that said somewhere else too. That's what made me think of.
But to what Carolyn was saying, the first time they tried to detach, was that not the 13-14 school year?
Oh boy, that's a great question.
I think it was, because that's when I was
So in
getting
13,
elected.
14, that does sound right, and then that was when there were 7 small territory detachments. So that may correspond with that, yes.
That is right, that's when it happened. I was interning here at the time, and I was dispatched to go observe a meeting, and that's when it was.
I remember that. I was running and I was at this meeting, like they are, right, like watching it.
So that's just, I'll build 3 budgets, at some point we'll have to choose, hey, what assumption do you want? We need to build a specific budget, we can talk in range of values for the time being, but at some point we're gonna pick something, build the budget, and go from there. Okay? Any questions? I was, sorry, I apologize. Way shorter though, way shorter than what's been in the past.
But not 5 minutes, right? Was that the
All right.
first? That was it.
So from here, we'll go on to the ESSER budget review. I'm bringing this back, or bringing this to you, I should say, to demonstrate how we've spent our money, our ESSER funds. So ESSER 1 was $101,000. Relatively speaking, it's small, I'm not even gonna address that pot of money. But in ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, ESSER 2 is $1.6 million. I'm gonna make the screen a little bit bigger here. All right. So we have $1.6 million. We spent $393,000 in 2021, $756,000 last year. And then this current year, we've spent $225,000 so far. We have 15.3% of these funds left, and these funds will be expended by the end of this school year. This deadline for this money is September 30, 2023. What I want to highlight here in 21-22 on personnel, $586,000, and what we're currently in the process of spending this current school year. At the end of this school year, I should back up. When we created our original ESSER game plan, how are we going to spend this money? We presented it to the community. We took feedback from community members, staff, administration, principals, parents, everybody. and then we uncovered themes and we decided here's what we're going to do. One of those themes was to improve our HVAC systems and air quality throughout all of our buildings. To spend federal funds on a project like that becomes a super cumbersome task. You have to show and demonstrate that the company you hired is meeting a minimum wage requirement, so on and so forth. You have to submit weekly time results. So what the decision we did here was we took existing interventionists that have been on our staff for a number of years. So we have, I think, 7 or 8 of them. They were eligible for the ESSER 2 grant, so we put them on. We're going to take these dollar values and whatever this number here ultimately becomes, will be close to $500,000. We will be reimbursed $1 million, and we are going to take that money at the end of this school year. I'm going to recommend we move it into Fund 46, and then we begin to improve our HVAC units in a number of our buildings, which you'll hear about in our 10-year capital plan. So basically, we are using ESSER funds in a roundabout way to improve our buildings in ways that we would have to do this no matter what. And HVAC units are a considerable cost. Okay? So we are still meeting our objective of what we intended to do with these funds. I'm going to look down at the ESSER 3 budget. Now the ESSER 3 budget is $4.18 million. We spent nothing in 2021, excuse me, is that 1920, the first year. We spent $726,000 last year, and we're up to almost $1.1 million this year. So we have spent to date, or I should say as the day I made this is a couple weeks ago now, $1.8 million. We have 56.6% of these funds, and I think the day I made this exhibit was January 24th. So we will be about halfway done, a little more than halfway done with these funds at the end of this year, and the deadline for this pot of money is September 30, 2024. We have budgeted, at academic recovery, the ESSER 3 funds is what we were required to get community feedback, and we focus that solely on mental health, mostly in academic recovery and other academic one-time needs, okay? And we'll share more information on the next slide here. But we have left, when this school year ends, we will have left enough money to keep the interventionists and the other school psychologists, guidance counselors, those folks for one more year, which was always the plan that these would be 2 to 3 year hires. And we've positioned ourselves accordingly so that we have enough money to keep them and we have somewhat of a small buffer. Okay, so if we go down to this next exhibit, and I get it small here, it's a little hard to see, but I'm trying to demonstrate the ESSER 2 grant, the function area, like where do we spend this for K-6 curriculum, 7-12 curriculum, instructional technology, and you can see what did we spend in 2021. So here we have $156,000 we spent in 2021, and I have a note over here with the description that those were for Dell laptops and AC adapters. So we put an investment into technology there. This is going to tie out to the summary I just walked through, but you can see that we have a number of purchases here at various amounts, and I'm trying to be transparent with this group. Here's the ESSER 3 amounts here. You can see that mostly for ESSER 3 here, it's mostly all personnel. All right, so I'm just showing this here. If you have questions, I will answer those, and you may not have those now, but if you get them, please let me know. There's a narrative that I just want to make sure we're on the same page with. I get information from our representatives because I want to see what they're thinking, what their concerns are. And this came out a couple of weeks ago that $985 million of unused COVID funds existed. This report was written by the Institute for Reforming Government, and it's showing that 66% of all the COVID funds are unallocated. We haven't allocated next year's budget yet because we're still trying to work through this one. We're at the beginning stages. So if we have $1 million for next year's ESSER personnel, our interventionists, our school psychologists, etc., yeah, we haven't allocated. Nobody has. Nobody's that far down to allocating next year's budget already. But you can see those areas where other districts, what they collectively have done. I think in a sense this is kind of showing that if a district has money, well, you're not using what you've been given. So what are you doing with it? What do you need more money? I think you'll hear yes. I'm going to present on our health insurance renewal in a little bit. Larry and his team are looking for a rate increase to solve some of their driver issues and parts issues that they have. There's plenty of needs. There's not a shortage of needs here. You just heard from Ms. Hoyne and what they need in this building and all of our buildings here, really. We got somebody joining here. So, a couple of these bullet points, if you look at, students desperately need mental health support, but districts have not made that a budget priority. It's really hard to find people who can solve your mental health issues. They just don't, those types of professionals don't exist in mass anywhere. School psychologists, there's a shortage of those. They're not falling off trees. We wanted to hire a mental health counselor and we're unable to find somebody who could fit our needs that was hireable. It's really hard to find mental health folks. So it's not that we have a need and we're just choosing not to fill it. We can't. It's easier, way easier said than done. I just want to make sure that we understand in this room what we used our money for. We are, again, using it for academic recovery, making other one-time purchases revolving around academic needs, curriculum, and some of our HVAC unit upgrades. That's what those dollars were intended for. That's what we were told, and we've lived up to that. We use these in one-time areas where I am certain that most other districts, especially in this county, have used those to plug their budget gaps. We didn't do that. We put those into one-time costs. So when the money goes away, the expenses also go away because of the one-time nature. That we'll be able to continue going forward, and we're not going to see a mass layoff situation where we had to add a whole bunch of our existing staff and use COVID funds just to keep this thing going. We have avoided that. So we've been fiscally responsible. We're using the dollars, and that's all I really have to say about that. I don't know if there's any questions I can answer right now.
So for the remaining percent on your previous slide.
Yep.
We still have 23-24 school year.
Yep.
To burn these funds.
Yep.
And are those funds earmarked or allocated, or do we need someone to spend that money?
So we have 56.6% of our ESSER 3 money remaining as of January 24th. This will probably be down to like 45 or 40% by the end of the year. This 15.3 will be gone.
Okay, by the end of this year.
We make the expenditure and then we get reimbursed, we make a claim, and that money is released back to us here, okay?
So the top one will be gone by the end of this school year?
Yep, and we'll only have ESSER 3, and we'll be walking this thing down systematically throughout the course of next school year. These will end at zero, is the point.
That's what I was going.
Yep. Other questions? Joel or Craig, any questions there? Okay. All right, so that's that. Next thing we'll talk about then is, as we talk about the budget, as where do we go as we move forward next year's Dowsman transport rate proposal. Not looking to take action on this right now, but we're just moving forward with planning for the upcoming school year. So convenient that you guys are here to talk about this here. So I included Mr. Kirkley's proposal for next school year. And you have that letter in the board packet, and Larry's here, so we could probably take a little bit of input from Larry about what you've seen. Last year, I gave a little bit of a history here. Last year, we did a mid-year rate adjustment of 2%. That was effective on March 1st. That 2% mid-year adjustment allowed for every driver to get a $1 per hour raise. And then the starting rate of pay was, we were able to move that to $17.50 per hour. And if we were to look at other districts, we can kind of take a look at what does the market look like. We didn't jump to the top of the list or even the middle. And I'm sure that some have probably even adjusted since this is information from last February. We didn't stay at the bottom, we moved forward somewhat. Okay, so then prior to the start of this school year, we did a 3% rate adjustment. Okay, our history of this, so Larry's letter is there, and then I will show our history of rate adjustments kind of going all the way back for almost 20 years now. So Hank's Transportation, you know, we worked with them, and Dousman Transport provided only our special education transportation as well as our Prairie View Elementary routes, which is about 5 routes. Hank sold to Dousman Transport at the 16-17 school year. So you can see we only have one rate that we're agreeing to, so you can kind of see where that's at. All right, so Larry, do you want to take this opportunity to discuss the request that you've made?
Yes. So again, I go back to what I said before. When I saw this number, this wasn't a dart on a dartboard or a piece of paper on a dartboard. This was a very, very deliberate process over the span of several days with an analyst that Dousman Transport has, and everything is factored in. When I saw the end result, I dropped my head because I know what 11% represents. It's a very, very steep request for an agency with very finite resources. So that is definitely not lost on me. But what is built into that 11% is it's rising costs. It's just like everybody else. There is still very much so I call it a wage war. It's wage inflation that's going across the school bus industry still. There are still mid-year raises. Palmyra Eagle that you see on there, Kettle Moraine right now, that starting wage out there is 18, it's 50 cents more. It's $18.85 an hour is the starting rate out there. Just down the road in Union Grove, it's over $20 an hour. But even with the competitors and whatnot, we're getting outpaced with these wages. Wages, of course, representing an enormous part of what we do. That's the biggest part of our budget. The other piece is mechanic wages. I call it's a high demand, low density asset. You know, they are not a dime a dozen. And what I have learned is a diesel mechanic is not necessarily a school bus mechanic. There are intricacies with school buses that are just lost on tenured diesel mechanics. So when you've got a school bus mechanic, which we have now in Mukwonago, they demand a high dollar. Aside from that, school bus cost increases. So yes, I realize, as you may have seen in my proposal letter, the bus body, or excuse me, CPI are raising about, what is it, 8.7% roughly in there. But that doesn't fully capture the cost of a transportation business. Bus bodies have gone up astronomically, as you probably have seen in the proposal. Looking at the time I think that I captured was the time that Dousman has fully serviced Mukwonago School District. I think it's a 40% increase in bus bodies. Buses are extremely expensive right now. We're seeing anywhere from a 20 to 30% increase on both used buses and new buses, and that's year over from just last year when there was an additional increase just last year. So the costs, our operating costs have gone up astronomically. But again, not unlike anybody else. The other thing too, which I think kind of eroded things from us, because I saw there was an adjustment when Dousman Transport purchased Hanks back in 16-17 of 7.5%. We've cut routes in the district. I think we cut, I think it was 2 or 3 routes last year, and now we cut a route and a half, I think it was this year. The first year that we did it with the 2 routes, we did retain fixed costs on that. I don't remember the percentage, it may have been 30%, 25%, just to cover our operating / fixed costs that just don't go away. Alan's salary, Katrina's salary, our mechanics, the rent, utilities, all the things that just don't go away, but are built into that initial requirement when we bid on a contract. The costs that are spread across your requirements. So I think it was 35 buses or whatever 2 years ago. So when we do your costs, we take those costs and we spread them across those 35 buses. So when we again, drop those 2 buses, we retain a portion of that. When we cut these buses, the bus and a half last year, we did not retain those costs, which I think amounted to, this is kind of a wag somewhat, but roughly $85,000. So that was, again, just, you know, I hate talking profit and all that other stuff, but we're a private business. That aside, the stuff that we had built in for our operating costs, that went bye-bye as well. So that was also part of the basis of this increase right here. And then you saw my, just my comparison with districts from the area as well. If it means anything at all, it is difficult to look customers in the eyes and knowing that information is shared and whatnot, and it is a very, very difficult conversation to have with another school district. Well, Larry, this is our cost. Why is it this when this one is this? It's a very, very difficult conversation. But again, I would say that would be a kind of an afterthought. That's not necessarily the driving factor of this wage increase right here. That just really kind of illustrates that things have been eroded over time so much that this service to Mukwonago has fallen out of sync with what we have done in surrounding school districts.
Okay. Thanks, Larry.
Yes, sir.
So we'll take this, I guess I'm just introducing this information tonight. We're gonna talk about a health plan renewal. All these things kind of ultimately play into the need for increased funding in the next school year. It's not just a ask because we feel like asking, is that we have true needs. Inflationary pressures are on us, and that's just the way it is for us. So the next biennial budget will be the most crucial thing, I think, at this point as I see it. Okay, so I don't think we don't need a motion because we're not taking action, but I will bring this. We got this information from Larry here, I think like about a week ago or so here. So I'm just bringing it to you so you know what I know. Larry's also given us a new contract. So his contracts with all his various school districts that he works with in the area are similar. I'm working on reviewing that with our legal team to make sure that we're good with everything in there to see if we have concerns. We'll talk about this in closed session. We'll formulate our response and we'll go back and communicate that. Hopefully we can get this thing settled by April. So between next month in March and April, we can figure out what we're gonna do for 23, 24. Okay? So, all right, thanks guys. No, you really don't have to stay. As I see it, you don't. All right, so we got 3 more things here, and then we'll wrap it up here. So, Andy and I will talk to you guys now about the 10-year capital plan. This is something that we do each year, and we bring it to you guys so you understand what goes into the capital plan, what's on the horizon. The most important thing is what's coming up next. Not that we have it all correct every single year. So, we posted this to the agenda later today. We worked on it today. Some of these things that we have here are in the conversation for next week, Monday, and if we do a referendum. If we do something, obviously, there's certain costs that we can do them now and exhaust certain pockets of funding. So you'll hear us talk about the need for a new roof at Clarendon and new sections of roofing is needed at Mukwonago High School. We didn't address those roofing needs at Mukwonago High School when we did the last referendum because there were still 6 or 8 years of lifespan in them, and you don't want to replace something that still has a lifespan to it. But those things now, and that work was done in 2016 and 2017. That's 6, 7, coming up on 8 years ago. So what you'll see in the exhibit that I have here for us is that I have 2, and it's a little bit long here. But what we have is Fund 10/Fund 41. Those 2 funds, when you get your $10,016 per kid, you can leave all that money in Fund 10, or you can move a portion of it to Fund 41. And once you do that, that money is then earmarked and reserved for building needs. Okay? So whether it's in 10 or 41, it's coming out of the same $10,016 per student pot of money. Okay? So you can see we have about 10 years worth of information here. All right? And we have. So you'll see we have asphalt, so this is really going to be parking lots here at all of our schools, flooring, generators, we have our major capital items listed here, and then by school and by year. So we have lighting, lockers, paint, roof, siding, solar, windows. You'll see that here, this Fund 1041 total is that we're deferring most things off into the future. We're gonna say we're going light in this particular year on upcoming projects, okay? Fund 46, I should back up for a quick second. In Fund 10, we have a fund balance position of $20 million as of July 1st. That is a snapshot in time. Our cash flow position goes up and down here, okay? We hit our low water mark in November, and then in January, once tax revenues start to come in from the village of Big Bend and the town of Mukwonago, our cash position improves. What we really have for liquid cash position that you guys have responsibility for in a one-time sense is $4 million. That's what you have in Fund 10. In Fund 41, that's where you're taking money at the beginning of the school year, saying how much do we want to set aside of this 10,016 per? How much do we want to set aside? Our long-term stride has been to put $800,000 aside, of which we use about $600,000 for annual maintenance costs, giving us a $200,000 additional fund balance, assuming we don't have one-time projects that we want to do. Fund 46 is where at the end of a school year, we say, how did the year go? Do we have any money left? We can take those dollars at the end of the school year, earmark them, and put them into Fund 46. So 41 and 46 work the same way. You put money in at the beginning of the year for Fund 41. You put money into Fund 46 at the end of the year with any surplus you might have. So we've identified some projects here. We're really focused on this column here. The only thing you're really going to see is that we have HVAC needs, which we are going to fund with our ESSER reimbursements. So we have a number of heating and ventilation, air conditioning units that we're going to work on here, and you can answer questions about what that looks like. Every building has a different situation. The last agenda item is you'll hear about Big Ben's situation there with our individual, I'm sorry, Andy, help me out. Individual unit vents that pump air into each classroom. So there are certain mechanical things that we need to replace in those, all right? There's a small roofing need here at Eagleville. There's tuck pointing that's needed in the masonry work at Clarendon. But for the most part, we have a very limited use of Fund 46 we're proposing for 23-24. What you'll see here is that for potential referendum purposes, we are deferring a lot of things here. Now, I should say that these aren't things that we are definitely pursuing. These are just on the table. As each year comes, we ask ourselves, do we want to pursue these things? Some things you'll see in here, like adding lockers to Prairie View or Section Elementary. Those are costly things that some elementaries have, but not all. Those are things that might stay on the list of, yep, let's do this, or they might get deferred and pushed into the future and say, we want these things, but just not right now, okay? All the priorities begin to compete. So you see we have bleacher replacement at Parkview Middle School and MHS. If you do a new middle school altogether, you're not gonna do that at Parkview Middle School, so some of the things will go away when you make a decision as to what to do with Parkview Middle School. So not everything stays on this, and a lot of current decisions or upcoming decisions are going to affect how this looks. But ultimately, there's a lot we're gonna defer. There's a couple I wanna point out here. I have them highlighted in yellow. Section Elementary, we're looking to replace carpeting and paint. I don't know, Andy, when's the last time we've done that building?
I want to say it was 99.
So it's over 20 years of life expectancy. That's about carpet. Doesn't last too much longer than that. I remember a prior school board member, Mary Diamore, when she joined the board initially, she wasn't happy with the way that section was updating their carpeting. She says that's the same carpeting I had friends throw up on when we were in kindergarten together. It's time you change it. So there comes a time when we gotta change some of these things in our buildings. The section is highlighted yellow. There's new carpeting that's needed, new flooring. I want under roofing then, you can see yellow paint there for section. And then we have roofing needs at Clarendon and Mukwonago High School. I mentioned those at the beginning here. So those are $1.9 and $1.8 million. Between Fund 41 and Fund 46, we have $6 million that we'll have at the end of this school year. If we just take those two projects right there for $3.7 million, that eats up half of what we have. So you can do it, but you're going to exhaust a great majority of those funds. Okay? So until we know what direction we're trying to go with anything referendum related, what we need to understand in this room is that whether we do a referendum or we don't, those projects there are gonna take place really no later than next summer. And at the latest, the summer after that, we have to make a move.
What are those issues?
They're just.
Yeah, so currently we have some leakage in areas. And when I'm walking down hallways, I'm always looking up more than looking down because I'm looking for water stains on ceilings. And then obviously my building managers know to contact me if we have leaks as well. So on the second floor at the high school, in that newly remodeled area, kind of where it gets closer to the north gym, we've had some leakage in that area. And then we've had some in the north gym as well. Clarendon, I did some thermal imaging scanning on some roofs this last year with our consulting company. We can see moisture that's starting to catch into that roof as well. We don't have leaks currently, but we also have noticed rusting on our deck level. So we know that there's moisture collecting there, and soon we're gonna have rotting on that deck level. So it would be better to replace it now than to wait and have to replace more components.
We sent that out for the large projects.
Oh, yeah.
For our
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. We have 16 acres of roof in our district. So there's a lot of different types of roofs, some pitch, some flat. We work with Interstate Roofing Consultants, and we have for a number of years. When it comes to, we can patch and repair and get these things to move forward in the short term, but it's not a long-term strategy. Just like any roof in your private residence, there comes a time when that roof needs to go. And when you need a new roof at your house, call Semperfi Roofing. They love to talk to you.
He's not even.
That one's free. That one's free. We're charging you. Okay, so this is our 10-year plan. What we're going to look to do next month is bring next year's 23-24 buildings and grounds budget to the committee and then to the school board for approval. We're going to create a budget so Andy can ultimately begin to work on the upcoming summer's budget and bidding projects out. We can't really tell him what his budget's gonna be in September. He needs to enter the summer knowing, so this is always the first domino that falls. We're gonna integrate this stuff into that plan, so we share this with you now. It'll kind of become a full game plan that we'll look to adopt and take action in March. Did you guys have any questions or concerns about this?
I do not.
Okay.
Is there a dollar, when you're hiring somebody to do something, is there a threshold at which you just have somebody do it, or is everything RFP? For example?
No, it's usually, if we're getting in, I believe there's a board policy that if it's 50,000 or higher, it needs to be an RFP. But there are certain things that just, if it's a group of projects, it might make sense to have multiple vendors bid on it. At that point, I'll put an RFP together and do it that way as well.
So yeah, we do have board policy on that tells us what we can do. Without looking at it at this very moment, I believe Andy's right, and that's 50. Anything, if we're doing a contract with, executing an agreement with a contractor, if it's 50,000 or greater, we are bidding that. And in most instances, we're gonna do that for even some lesser things as well, so, but I think the policy gives me the discretion to waive that if there's some reason. If there's a specialist and only this company is gonna do this garage door repair because it's unique and whatever, then there's times that we waive that, but there's gonna be great rationale for why we did that. But yeah, we're trying to get the lowest, most competitive price that's still of quality work every time we spend
There's
dollars.
certain RFPs I put out that are 10 vendors that bid on it, and there's others that I try to get the 3, and then like this trailer.
Yeah.
I put it out to 3 companies and 1 responded.
Okay. All right, so Two more things then, and then I think we're gonna wrap up. Here's the next thing that I have then, this will go quick, but we're getting to that point of where we are going to renew our 23-24 health plan. We were gonna talk about this last month, but obviously you guys had a little bit of business at the beginning of last month's meeting, so we delayed this here. Our health consultants were gonna come and share this information and present this, but I'm going to take it for tonight, so we just have 4 slides. Right now, behind the scenes, we're doing our due diligence and looking at the market to find out where can we buy our health insurance for our employees from. So we're looking at all of our current fully insured options that we've been using for basically my entire almost 8 years here. So that's getting quotes from Anthem, which is our current health carrier, Humana, Network Health, United Healthcare, WCA/GHT, which is Group Health Trust, and WPS. Those are the main players who provide health insurance if you're fully insured, all right? You can also use them for self-funding, where you're basically using their network, their prices, but you're just kind of going kind of halfway between self-funded and not being self-funded. We're looking at, on the bottom left there, additional models. There's some newer forms of healthcare that are available. Centivo is probably the most up-and-coming one that's, I guess, getting some traction in the Milwaukee area. And there's some others that are similar to that. Those are going to be kind of narrow networks with doctors that are agreeing to certain procedures at certain fixed costs with guaranteed outcomes that they're ultimately going to be able to deliver. Those are kind of more the historical norms, but on the right side is the alternative kind of self-funding options where we build our own plan, we build our own network. Again, that starts with delivering primary care in a near-site clinic that's independent. It's not using a system where Dr. A is referring to colleague, Dr. B, one office down, and so on and so forth. It's just getting an independent view with no funding incentives that are ever going to be there. There's a fixed cost, and then a medical provider, be it a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, is going to tell you where it's at, and there's really no financial incentive that they're striving for other than to just help you, whatever that might mean, all right? There are specialty care options that this model that we've discussed in the past is to create direct contracts. So if we were to work with a certain orthopedic doctor to do all of our knee replacements, hip replacements, broken bones, we can direct contract with them for a fixed price. And then we do that because the care is good. It doesn't require second and third surgeries to clean up prior mistakes, I guess is the word I'll use. But when there's certain quality of care and those metrics are there, their reputation is there, and they're worthy of doing a direct contract with, when you create those, it allows for your staff to use those, and they're free because you're saving so much money by using those in a high volume manner that it's a win-win for the district, for the patient or the employee, and the medical provider. Okay, the changing our plan, one of the most surefire ways I know we could save money is the change of the way that we pay for our prescription drugs. If we went the independent route, we could save in prescription drug costs 20 to 40%. And that's about the most obvious savings that could be there, okay? So there's that, and we've heard this before, so veteran school board members, you've heard Megan and Sarah talk about this. That's the funding option there on the right. We are pursuing those options as well, okay? The timeline that we're working on right now is that they're sending out requests for proposals right now. All right, they're gonna receive those back over the next 3 or 4 weeks. This is the time of year where everybody who's offering a quote to your RFP wants as much medical data as possible. So this isn't something we could really do in November. They're not gonna bid, or they're gonna just quote you high to say, I'll give you a more accurate bid, but come back in 2 months, come back in 3 months. So this is about as aggressive as we can really get on this particular situation here. On April 3rd, we're gonna have the results back here, so in early April, we're gonna try to make a decision here then in the month of April that we'll adopt the health plan in April, and we'll do open enrollment for our staff in May and beyond. If we go the route of an independent near-site clinic We don't have enough time to in the last year's budget for the 22-23 school year, you allocated $600,000 in Fund 46 to build out the clinic. We don't wanna build that till we know we're gonna use it and need it. I don't wanna build that to see it sit vacant for 12 months or 24 months. That's a bad look for all of us, so we're not doing that. So if we do the clinic, we will likely have to build a temporary solution that our people are very comfortable with, and then work to build something in a long-term manner. So that's where we are. This stuff is going on behind the scenes for you guys. You guys don't have to follow all this stuff here, but I'll be reporting back in March and April, the next 2 months, about this is the second domino that falls. Once buildings and grounds goes first, this goes second, and we keep going. All right? Any questions about that? Okay.
None here.
All right. So then the last thing on tonight's agenda is just Big Bend indoor air quality. I think information was sent to all board members and then to all families at Big Bend Elementary. We had a concerns shared by a former employee and current parents about potential musty smelling odors in the building. So when we get that, we reacted to that, and we worked with our insurance carrier, EMC, to investigate, do we have mold? Do we have a situation we need to be aware of and remediate? They came in, EMC came in on February 1st, ran a number of tests, environmental tests, tested for mold and spores, tested air quality, visual inspection, so on and so forth. Those results came back to us on Friday. We worked over the weekend to summarize that. We posted that late and actually added this agenda item here today, and tried to be transparent and share this information with everybody. So we did that. What we found that by and large the building is good. There's one classroom that there is I don't want to say a big concern, even a medium concern, but there is a concern where the mold spore level is a little bit higher than what EMC has as a recommended guideline. So it's not extremely over that guideline, but it is a little bit. So that there's the concern. We're going to continue to investigate that. They gave us some recommendations about there's some plants that are in the room growing, normal house plants. We removed those because those can be a source of mold. Obviously, you're putting water into that plant that can breed mold and spores. Cleaning the room in certain areas, there's things that we can do there. There's certain things that Andy staff will and will not do. They'll clean general areas, but they're not really touching the teacher's individual desk with their personal items. That's just kind of, I don't know, a fine line there. We don't want to touch those things because that belongs to them. But with that, there's some Keurig coffee makers who can get a lot of dust on them. So it's like, well, whose responsibility is that? Is that the teacher's or is that Andy's crew? So we're working to say, hey, certain things have dust. Let's clean that up. Whoever's responsibility that might be, let's get that person to take care of that. And also increasing airflow. As we talked about HVAC units earlier a few times in this conversation tonight, Big Bend, being the older building that it is, as individual, Andy, why don't you explain this sort of?
Yeah, so we have a couple different types of HVAC units in our schools. Big Bend, Clarendon, and Parkview all have what is univents. There's univents actually in this school, just a different style. It's like having that furnace in your classroom with a blower. It gets hot water or cold water that sends through a coil to regulate the temperature from the thermostat on the wall. From that, there's outside air that helps control the temperature in the room. So we have a minimum set point that we have on all our univents. During pre-COVID, we were at 10%. COVID, we went up to 20%. And then wintertime, when we get in those extreme cold temperatures, we lower that down because we don't want to risk the failure of someone sticking open and then freezing a coil, and that continues to be a high dollar fix. I had one coil that I had to replace this year at Big Bend in a different room. With the parts and the labor to do it, it was close to a $6,000 repair, and that's one classroom. So, all that said, we look at those adjustments to make sure that we have the as best amount of outside air coming in. And again, that's a minimum set point, so There are times of the day when the room is overly warm, and then we may need to bring in more outside air to cool it down. And every different time of the year reads a different type of control.
So there's a concern, we're working to address the concern. We're gonna do additional testing tomorrow. EMC's coming back to test room 111 at Big Bend and also Clarendon in the middle school. So if there's other concerns from the community, if anybody's watching right now, when we get a concern, we address the concern and report it back.
Who pays for the mold testing? Is that the insurance?
So, yeah, so the insurance policy that we have, and we've used them a couple times in the past, is we've been able to use this as we've had a complaint to us from someone, so we're contacting our insurance company, and there's been no cost to us, no rate hike for it. The hygienist comes from Des Moines, their headquarters up here, so he's here tonight in the community. We'll be meeting me tomorrow. We'll be going to 2 schools, and then we're gonna retest Big Bend.
And we'll share what we find.
If I didn't go that route, then I would use another company called EMC that's out of Lake Mills, who's our environmental control company that we use. And they would come in and test, but now that's something we're paying for.
Okay.
So anytime that I can use our insurance company for free, I will.
Yeah. There was somebody, a hand?
Not a hand, but a comment. I think, Tom, you're supposed to spell out mold. I don't think you're allowed to say it. I learned that from EM3, right, at our meetings. So you said mold too many times. You have to spell it out. That's a 4-letter word. That's what we learned here in in the past.
I hope I'm not talking about it anymore, so I didn't have to. Is there any questions or concerns about that?
No, thank you for acting.
Did we close the loop with the person that reached out? Personally, just to,
Okay. With that, I guess it's committee member questions. Does anybody, Joel or anyone?
I do not have any. Anyone else? Motion to adjourn.
second.
Give us a second.
All right.
Aye.
Your favorite thing to
All right, we're good to go.